FIFA just made a rule that could change women's football forever, but not everyone is celebrating it. In fact, some people think this could actually backfire. FIFA has just introduced one of the most controversial rules in modern football, a mandate that requires every team in women's competitions to have at least one female coach or assistant coach on the bench. Sounds like progress, right? But here's the question no one is asking. Is this actually helping women's football or quietly exposing a much bigger problem? Because behind the headlines, this decision is dividing opinions across the football world. And trust me, this story goes deeper than you think. So here's what we know. FIFA is pushing forward with a new rule. In women's competitions, clubs and national teams must include at least one female coach or assistant coach in their technical staff. On the surface, it looks like a major step forward for representation. For years, women's football has faced criticism, not for the players, but what's happening on the sidelines. Because despite the growth of the women's game, many top teams are still coached by men. And FIFA wants to change that. But here's where it gets interesting. This isn't just about equality, it's about control, development, and pressure. Women's football is growing faster than ever. Viewership is rising, sponsorships are increasing, and tournaments like the Women's World Cup are breaking records. But behind that growth, there's a shortage of elite-level female coaches. That's the uncomfortable truth. So now FIFA is stepping in, not just to encourage change, but to force it. And that's where the debate begins. Because some people are asking, should positions in elite football be mandated or earned purely on merit? And then something unexpected happened. Even people who support women's football started questioning the decision. Critics argue that this rule could create unintended consequences. Imagine this. A team hires a female assistant coach not because they're the best available, but because they have to. What does that do to credibility? What does that do to the perception of female coaches? Because instead of being seen as the best choice, they risk being seen as the required choice. And that changes everything. But here's where it gets crazy. Others are saying the opposite. They believe this rule is exactly what women's football needs, because without intervention, the system might never change. Let's flip the perspective. For decades, football coaching has been dominated by men, not always because women aren't capable, but because they haven't been given the same opportunities. So what FIFA is doing here is forcing doors open, creating pathways, accelerating change. Because sometimes progress doesn't happen naturally, it has to be pushed. And we've seen this before. In other industries, similar mandates have increased diversity and, long-term, improved quality. So the real question is this short-term discomfort worth long-term growth? And by the way, if you love football stories that go beyond the pitch, make sure you subscribe because the next one is even crazier. But here's what FIFA isn't saying out loud. This rule exposes a deeper issue. It's not just about representation, it's about development pipelines. Because if there aren't enough experienced female coaches at the top level, that means something is broken at the grassroots level. Coaching education, opportunities, investment. That's where the real battle is. And this rule, it's not solving that problem, it's revealing it. Women's football is at a turning point. The game is growing, but it's still finding its identity. And decisions like this will shape its future. Will it become a system built on equal opportunity or one driven by enforced change? Because once rules like this are introduced, there's no going back. And here's the twist no one saw coming. This rule might not just change women's football, it could influence the entire sport. Because if it works, what's stopping FIFA from introducing similar policies elsewhere? And if it fails, the backlash could slow progress for years. This isn't just a rule, it's an experiment. So where does that leave us? FIFA is trying to push the game forward, but in doing so, they've sparked one of the biggest debates in modern football. Is this empowerment or overreach? Progress or pressure? One thing is certain, women's football will never be the same again. So what do you think? Is FIFA making the right call or forcing something that should happen naturally? Drop your opinion in the comments. And if you love football stories that go beyond the pitch, hit subscribe, like the video, and I'll see you in the next one.